As
This
the recording.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So, so in yesterday's class, so we were talking about one second. Okay. So we were talking about what is a program actually. Okay. So we were talking about what is a program and what are the things that we require in a program. Okay. So just I once again just review all the things what all we had. Okay. So let me add a new note here. Okay. So I will go on from here. So basically, we were talking about the program. Okay, so whenever I'm talking about a program is a set of instructions. Okay, so program is a set of instructions along with the data. Program is a set of instructions along with the data considered as input. Okay, considered as input that are to be processed to give output. So what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about a programmer developing a program. Okay, so a programmer developing a program. So what that program will contain basically? That program will contain inputs. Okay, so what the inputs are? Inputs are something like instructions and the data. So instructions and the data. So instructions means so for example, I will say add. So 4 comma 3. What is this add here? Add is some instruction and 4 comma 3 is some data. So this data and instruction must be processed. Okay. So the data and instructions must be processed. So what do I mean by processing here? Processing means adding these two values. So you said add. So now, for example, I asked you to come to meeting. Okay. So come to meeting at okay. So what I asked you to come to meeting at 7 o'clock. Okay, at 7 o'clock. So what is this? Come to come to is an instruction. Come to is an instruction, and 7 p.m. is the data. Okay. So without data, instruction is of no use. Without instruction, data is of no use. Okay. So that is why instructions and the data must be combined to give you, okay, so to give you the overall idea on the input. So those inputs are to be processed. Those inputs are to be processed to give what? So to give the output. So what is 7 here? 7 is going to be the output. So what exactly this means? You are working with IPO. Okay, so what you are working with? You are working with IPO. So IPO stands for what? IPO stands for input. Okay, so processing and output. So input, processing and output. So basically you need to give the input and that inputs are processed and will give you the output. So so Java is a programming language which will help you to develop the program. Okay, so what is Java here? Java is a programming language. What is Java here? So Java is a programming language. Okay, so what is Java? Java is a programming language. So Java is a programming language used to develop the program. Used for what? Used for developing the program. So what I am trying to tell you here, I'm trying to tell you that Java is a programming language. Okay, so what is Java? Java is a programming language which is used for developing the program. So what I'm doing here, I'm developing the program with the help of what? With the help of a programming language called Java. With the help of a programming language called Java, I am developing the program. See, developing the program means again what? Again IPO only. IPO means input, processing, and the output. So what basic idea of a Java program here? So Java is a programming language which is used to develop the program. So now you will ask me that after developing so many programs, what we are going to do? So you are going to create the software. What you are going to do? You are going to create the software. So you will be called as a software engineer because you will be the one who will be programming, right? So you will be the one who will be programming and you will be doing all the activities in the programming and you will be developing so many software. Okay, so using Java also, we will develop software like standalone applications. Okay, so we will be developing enterprise applications. So I'll tell you what is a standalone application, what is enterprise application and all. I'll tell you when the time comes. So for now, we will have to understand the basics. Okay, so understand the basics. So in order to understand the basics, first we need to talk about the data. Okay, so first thing is always understanding about the data. So just now I told you input, processing, and output. So for input, what is required? For input, instructions are required and data is required. So first we will get the idea on the data because without data, I cannot work on the program. Okay? Without data, I cannot work on the program. Okay? So data is very important. So in order to define what is data, they are the raw facts. Okay, so they are the raw facts. Okay, so what are the data? So data are the raw facts. Okay, so data are the raw facts or raw values. Okay, so raw facts or the raw values that needed to be that are needed to be that are needed to be processed that are needed to be processed. Okay, so let me just give you a simple example. Now I will say, okay, so data are the raw facts. Okay, so data are the raw facts in the sense. So raw facts means the data values which have no meaning actually. So which have no meaning. So what are the data here? So data are the raw facts or the raw values that are needed to be processed means they don't have any meaning. Now, for example, I will say something like uh, 21019 sorry, 1869. Okay, so 210. What I'm saying here 2101869. So when I'm saying 2101869, this is data for me. Okay, and precisely talking about this is a numeric data. So what is numeric data or any data for that matter? Data is a raw fact. Raw fact means which does not have any meaning. It does not have any meaning. See, there is no meaning, right? So somebody can say it is 2,10,000. Somebody will say it is something like 2 million. Okay, so it can be their own way of thinking. Okay, somebody can say it is 210,000. Okay, so their own way of doing it. Okay, now data is there with me. So now I'll add an instruction to it. Okay, now see the magic. So I'm adding an instruction. So what is instruction I'm adding is I am saying put a slash. Okay, so put a slash after 2 comma 0. Okay, so put a slash after 2 comma 0. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm trying to say that so 2101869. So I'm giving an instruction. So this is instruction. Okay, This is instruction and this is data. So this is data. So data means what? Data means the raw facts that are needed to be processed. So how we process? We process with the help of instruction only. So without instruction, we cannot process. So now the processing starts. So processing, what is processing for me? Processing is nothing but following this instruction. Following this instruction. So processing is nothing but what? Following this instruction. So following this instruction means now put a slash after 2. Put a slash after 2 and put a slash after 0 and you write it. Now what we have done here? We have processed. We have processed. So after processing, what I told you, you will get the output. So now what is this actually, This is M.K. Gandhi birthday. Who is M.K. Gandhi? Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So, you generally call him Gandhi Tata, right? So, Bapuji, Gandhi Tata, something like that. Okay? So, Gandhi. Okay? So, it is Gandhi's birthday. Okay? Means what you got at the end of the day? You got the information. You got the information. When you got the information, after processing. So what you are processing? You are processing the numeric data along with what? Along with the instruction. So here, what the point of understanding? The point of understanding is you have the data and I will also give you the instruction. You will have the data and I will also give you the instruction. You have to process the data depending on the instruction and what has to be given out. The information has to be given out, or you can simply call it as output. So it may be a small program, it may be a big program, it doesn't matter at all. So any programming must follow IPO, must follow IPO. So IPO means what? So IPO means input, processing and the output. So input, processing and the output. So in this way, you are going to define the data. So now coming to the programming data. Okay, so coming to the programming data. So what are the things that are there in programming? What are the data elements that are looked at in programming? So data in Java programming. So data in Java programming. So what we are looking at here?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, can you increase the font size?
Okay, one second. You are looking in mobile, huh? Okay. Is it okay?
Sir, it's okay.
Okay. Right. Okay. So data in Java programming. So data in Java programming. So we are talking about what? We are talking about the data in Java programming. So the data is represented. The data is, or I should say always, data are. The data are represented using three components. Okay, so what are the three components? Directly we are talking about the program-based component. Okay, so directly we are talking about the program-based component. The data is represented using three components of Java programming. So using three components of Java programming. So the first component is going to be called as literal. So what is the first component we need to call it? We need to call it as literal. Okay. Second component we are going to talk about is variable. Okay. And the third component we are going to talk about is data type. Okay. Data type. So what are the three components of the Java programming that we are going to represent the data in? Literal, variable and data type. Okay, so literal, variables, and data type. So whenever I am talking about literal, okay, so whenever I am talking about literal, okay, so literals are nothing the fixed values of the program. So what are literals here? The literals are the fixed values, or I should say, the fixed data values. Okay. So what are literals here? Literals are the fixed data values in a Java program. In a Java program. So what are literals here? Literals are the fixed values in the Java program. Okay. So how many types of literals that we can observe? Okay. So how many types of literals that we can observe in a Java program? So we have the following literals. We have the following literals. So what are the literals that we generally see? So first one under literals is numeric literals. So what are you going to look at first? Numeric literals. Second one is going to be character-based literals. Okay, so character-based literals. So first one is what? First one is numeric literal. Second one is character-based literal. And the third one is going to be Boolean literal. So second one is going to be what? Boolean literal. And fourth one is going to be null literal. Okay, so null literal. So first one is a numeric literal. Second one is a character-based literal. Third one is a Boolean literal. Okay, so fourth one is a null literal. So now we will understand each of them. Okay, so we will understand each of them and what are the different things available in numeric, character, Boolean, and null literal. So once we talk about the literals, okay, all the Java data values, all the Java programming data values will be under this only. Okay, numeric literals. What are numeric literals? The representation of what? The representation of number based on the number line. Based on what? Based on the number line. So what is this number line, sir? This number line already we studied in our childhood. If you remember, 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, okay, and so on. So minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, and so on. So what is this basically? This is a number line. The representation of numbers based on the number line. So this is a number line. Okay. So this is a number line. So the number, the numeric or the number of the Java programming will be on this only. So where I can see something like 0.8. So this is 0.8. So this is also a number. Sir, where I can see minus 2.5. So here I can see, here we can see minus 2.5. So here you can see 4.5. So what are all these? These are all the representation of the numbers based on the number line. So what do we call them? Okay, so what do we call them in Java program? So that we need to understand. So first one under this is integer. So what is the first one under this? Integer. So what is integer? An integer is a non-decimal point value. Now these all are integers. Okay, so what are all these? All these are integers. So what is specific rule about an integer? Integers are the non-decimal point value. So what are integers here? Integers are the non-decimal point values. What are they? They are the non-decimal point values. The integers are nothing but what? They are the non-decimal point values. So what are integers, sir? They are the non-decimal point values generally used for count. Generally used for count. So why I am saying count? Because now, for example, I will take, okay. So number of students in the meeting. So number of students in the meeting. So I will say 4. So what is this 4? 4 is an integer. What is 4 here? 4 is an integer. So number of students in the meeting is 4. Okay, so number of students in the meeting is 4. Now for example, if I ask you, so something like I will say number of runs scored by India. Okay, so number of runs scored by India. So you will say something like 119. Okay, so what is this? This is also a number. This is also a number without decimal point. Okay, so sometimes if I ask you some simple calculation, okay. So for example, if I ask you a simple calculation, take out. Okay, so take out uh, 110 from 120. Okay, so take out 110 from 120. So what is it? 110 from 120. So what is this basically? 120 minus 110. So this value is how much? Value is 10. Okay, now for example, if I'm, so this is also an integer. Means I'm telling that it is also based on the calculation. It is also based on the calculation. So not only direct number, so they can also be based on the calculation. So that is my point. Now, for example, the same question I will ask in a different way. So in what different way I will be asking? So I will be saying that take out 120 from 110. Okay, so take out 120 from 110. So 120 from 110 in this sense, 110 minus 120. So 110 minus 120 becomes what? Minus 10. So what is minus 10? Minus 10 is also integer. 10 is also integer. 4 is also integer. 119 is also integer. All these are integers. All these are integers. And specifically, if I have to say one point about this, they are, okay, so how else I will say, integers are, okay, so integers are single valued number. So single valued number with a single part, with a single part. So single valued numbers with a single part. Okay, so what is the single part? I let you know. That is an integer part. So that is what? An integer part. So what is basic idea of the integer here? So the integer is a single valued number with a single part, which we call it as integer part. Now, for example, if I say 4, so 4 is integer part. So IP, integer part is IP. So just I'm writing IP. Okay, so integer part IP. So what I'm writing here? I'm writing it is going to be this part here, integer part. Okay, so integer part. So what is this? This 4 is an integer, the integer part. Now you take 119. So 119 is also integer. So you take 0. 0 is also integer. So you take minus 88. So this is also an integer. So what are all these? Integers are the non-decimal point numbers. So generally used for the count. Generally used for the count. For example, number of students in a meeting, number of runs scored by India, number of banks in India, number of MLAs in assembly, so number of MPs from BJP in parliament. So this is like number, head count. Okay. So 110 minus 120 plus 6 minus 10. So this also come under an integer only. So in simple words, 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 plus or minus 3 plus or minus 4 and so on. All these are what? All these are nothing but the integer. All these are nothing but the integer. So this is what is a integer. Integer comes under what literal? Numeric literal. Integer comes under the numeric literal. So whenever I am talking about integer, integer comes under what? Integer comes under the numeric literal. Okay. Next we will talk about float point literal. Okay, so next we are going to talk about the float point literal. So whenever I am saying float point literal, okay. So what are float point literal? The numeric literal, these are also numeric literals. So the numeric literals that are, okay, so that have, as I can say, that have a decimal point, that have a decimal point. So what are float point literals? Float point literals are the literals that will have a decimal point and generally used for and generally what? So generally used for what? Generally used for measuring. Okay. So generally used for not counting here, measuring. Now, if I tell you a simple example, okay. So rainfall. So rainfall in Hyderabad. Okay. So rainfall in Hyderabad is 6.25 mm. Okay. What is this? Or I can say centimeter. Okay, so 6.25 centimeters. What is this? It is a measurement. It is a measurement. Okay, so it is a measurement. Okay. So height of rock is something like 5.8 feet. So 5.8. So what is it? 5.8, 6.25 and all? They are nothing but okay. So temperature in Canada. So temperature in Canada. So temperature in Canada, so you have something like minus 2.5 degrees. So what is all this? So minus 2.5, 5.8, 6.25. So these are all called as the float point literal. These are all called as the float point literal. So when I am talking about the float point literals or the float point data values, they have three parts. So they have, or I should say, they are single valued numbers. They are single valued numbers with three parts. With they are single valued only. So don't think that they are multiple values. So they are single valued only. So they are single valued only, but they do have three parts. Okay, so they do have three parts. So what are the three parts we talk about? So first one, integer part. Okay, so what is the first part? Integer part, we call it as IP. Okay, so we call it as IP. Next we say decimal point. Okay, decimal point, which is going to be DP. Okay, is going to be DP, and last one we call it as fractional part. So this is not far away from our mathematics. Why I am saying not far away from mathematics, I'll tell you. Now for example, if I have a number something like 4 1 by 3. So 4 1 by 3, I cannot represent this number in the computer system. Okay, in a computer program, I cannot represent this number. So how can I represent this number? I should say 4 plus simple mathematics. 4 plus 1 by 3. Okay, so 4 plus 1 by 3. So what is this 3 here? So 3 is going to be the divisor and is going to be dividend. So 3 Here you put 0 and here you say 3, 3 is 9 and here again 1, then again 3 and all. So if I simply say this, so this is nothing but 0.34. Okay, so 4 plus 0.34, which is nothing but 4.34. So now what is 4, sir? 4 is the integer part. 4 is the integer part. So what about this, sir? This is the decimal point. Okay, so what is this? This is the integer part, this is the decimal point, and what about this? This is the fractional part. This is the fractional part. So that is why we call it as a fractional part. Okay. So simply if I am just keeping some number, something like 10.86. What is 10? 10 is integer. What is this dot? This is decimal point. And what is this 86? 86 or you can say 0.86. This is nothing but the fractional part. But on the whole, it is a single number only. On the whole, it is a single number only. It is a single number definitely. So if I say a single number, but it is having three parts. What are the three parts? Integer part, okay, so decimal point and the fractional part. Okay, so decimal point and the fractional part. So what we are looking up here, so we are looking up for integer part, decimal point and the fractional part. So they are the float point literals. So whenever I am saying float point literals, always remember that these are decimal point values. Decimal point values. So numbers without decimal points are called as integers. Okay, or called as integers. So when integers are there, they don't have any decimal point values and they are used for the count purpose. And whenever you are talking about float values, so they have the decimal point and they are used for the measuring purpose. Okay, so that's the way that we look at the float point literal. Okay, right. So then we will understand about the second type. Okay, so now we are done with the number. Okay, so we are done with the number. So throughout your Java program, not only in initial programming days, so throughout your Java programming, you see these two types of numbers only. Either you see numbers for counting, either you see numbers for the measurement, like price. Okay, so like you have something like radius. Okay, so something like you have some kind of measurement, so you will be looking at these float-based values and integers are when you are having some value for the counting kind of purpose. Okay. Right. So next coming to the character-based literal. Okay. So we are talking about now character-based literals. So what are these character-based literals? Character-based literals means the types of literals. Okay, so character-based literals means the types of literals which will represent one or more characters. Represent one or more characters. So the data value of I should say they they represent one or more. Okay, they represent one or more characters, one or more characters from the, so one or more characters from where? From the basic character set. From the basic character set. Okay, so they represent one or more characters from the basic character set. So what is this basic character set all about, sir? See, whenever you try to build any programming, okay, whenever you try to build any programming or anything as such, so you have to totally depend on the basic character set. Okay, so you have to totally depend on the basic character set. So when I'm saying basic character set, what do I mean here? Okay, so I mean to say, so characters from the basic character set. So what do I mean here? I mean to say that, okay, so from the basic character set, okay, so let me, uh, okay, so let me write is this basic character set basically? Basic character set is nothing but collection of A to Z, collection of small a to z. Okay, so collection of small a to z, right? And you have collection of 0 to 9, and you have collection of all the symbols. So collection of all the symbols. So this is the basic character set I am talking about. So in programming, so you will have the basic character set. So you'll have the basic character set from these characters only. So you might be looking at a 3-line program, 10-line program, 50-line program, 100-line program. So the characters will be from here only. So there will not be any special characters. Okay, so there will not be any special characters. All the characters will come from here only. So they represent one or more characters from the basic character set. So all the characters will be represented here. Okay. And next more important thing is the character based literals. The character based literals are put under quote. Are put under the quote. Okay, so the character based literals are put under the quote. Under the quote. So what are the quotes? You have single quote and you have double quote. Okay, so single quote and you have the double quote. So what are they? What is the speciality? We will try and understand. So in Java, we have two types. Okay, so in Java we have two types of character-based literals. Okay, so in Java we have two types of character-based literals. Okay, so we have two types of character-based literals. First one is single character, single character literal, single character literal, and you have multi-character literal. So you have single character literal and you have multi-character literal. Okay. So when you talk about single character literal, they are represented as single quote. Okay, so single quote, you can have anything. Yeah. So you can have something like G. Okay, so what is G actually? G is a lowercase alphabet. So A is the uppercase alphabet. So represented as A, G. Okay, so you can say one. Now you might be in confusion. So one is actually a number. No, again here you are saying it is a character. Yes, but you are keeping it under the quote. As you are keeping it under the quote, this will become a character. Okay, so this will become a character. Okay, so always remember that. So then you are looking at something like a symbol. Okay, so you can say symbol. So this symbol also come under single character only. Okay, so this is what is single character. Then coming to the multi-character literals. So multi-character literals means they are represented as, okay. Now for example, if I am saying hello, okay, and if I am saying something like Java, okay, so Java program, okay, so this is a string, and I am saying something like ABC at the rate 123. Okay, so ABC at the rate 123. So this is also a string. So like this, I can have multiple characters. I can have multiple characters. So I can have one or more than one character. One character specifically if you are keeping, you can keep it in single quotes only. Okay, so you cannot. Suppose here, if I want to have something like B, it is okay. But here you cannot have. Okay, so what is wrong? So incorrect So incorrect representation is, so what is incorrect representation is? The incorrect representation is you cannot have something like hello in single quotes. Okay, so it is an incorrect representation. But here, so this is a correct representation only. So you can have B under the double quotes, no problem at all. Okay, so no problem at all. So you can have it. So basically, what we are trying to say here, we are trying to say that if you want to have a character data, you can have it in single quotes. You can have it in single quotes. So next, we will talk about the Boolean data, Boolean literals. What we are talking about here? We are talking about Boolean literals. So Boolean literals means what? The literals that represent true or false, only two values. The representation of true and false values. Only two values. Only two values. So what are they? They are true and false. But a note I want to say it to you. So do not put true or false under the quote. Under the quote. So do not ever put true or false under the quote. Okay, so this is incorrect. Who is incorrect? Again, incorrect representation. So if you want to have true or false, so have it without quote. So here this is an incorrect representation. So do not ever represent in this way. Okay, or you cannot represent in this way. So means you are trying to change their, property, so which is not possible. Okay, so these are the Boolean literals. And then finally we will talk about the null literal. Okay, so we will talk about the null literal. So whenever I am saying null literal, so representation of a null value that signifies nothing. Null means nothing. So null means what? So null means nothing. Null means